Yeah. Okay. So I already started, yeah. Um, Hi everyone. So today we'll be discussing on a case specifically on reduction in fish numbers along Coley River. For the objectives of this discussion is to be addressing a complaint made by the Mid-Shire River Authority in regard to concerning reduction in the fish numbers, and also to discuss methods to be taken to investigate the case. Okay. So this would be our case details. So I'll be explaining a bit of about the case details. So recently, I've received a letter from Mid-Shire River Authority, where he mentioned that over the last few years, there has been reduction in the number and size of fish caught in the competition held between Atwood and Coley Bridge. This actually had caused him a great deal of concern among their members, and he hoped that we can remedy this issue as soon as possible. He also additionally mentioned there's an increased industrialization and urbanization around the river, as is the concern on the doubling of the cost of fishing permits and the reduction of access. This is an additional information for you guys. So this is a little bit of the background on the Coley River. The location is at from the springs in the limestone hills. The water in the upper reaches is clear, and it is not until the tidal reach just below the Coley Bridge at the Coley Weir that the water becomes turbid. So this should be the key point as well. The number of fishing licenses issued has increased by 10% over the last 2 decades. And the Beauport Angling Association was formed in 1931 and has since then organized monthly competitions on the river during the season. And in 1960s, due to the severe river pollution, the competition could no longer be held below the town of Atwood. It was not until 1984 that trout was once again caught in the Coley. The river has actually become renowned for trout fishing in the last decade through a program of annual restocking. And in 1997, the first competition for 30 years was held downstream of Atwood. The person that is sending me the letter is actually the president of the Beauport Angling Association, which has shown a small increase in the number of members in the recent years. There is also a Mid-Shire County Council. Okay, next. This is my letter that I replied to him that we are actually currently looking into his complaint. Investigators, which is us, shall be sent to take samples and look into the possible causes in the perceived drop in fish numbers. So from this information that we gathered later, the evidence, we will determine whether there's a problem requiring further investigation. And this is also an additional information to help with this investigation. So there are actually 4 automatic monitoring stations on the Coley River run by the authority, which is the upstream of Atwood, downstream of Atwood, Coley Bridge, and Coley Estuary. The cleanup of the river was led by Mid-Shire River Authority and the Beauport County Council. The dumping of untreated industrial waste and sewage has been stopped. The building of new sewers and Beauport sewage treatment works has meant that no raw sewage should any longer get into the River Coley. This is currently running at 100% capacity. Each of the small towns has retained their pre-war sewage treatment works that still discharge some treated sewage into the rivers. This should be also another key point. There's also a new drinking water treatment works at Gottenham Water, opened in 1990. Okay, based on the letters that we receive, I can probably foresee a few probable causes that contribute to the river issue. So it would be the river pollution, and there's also an increase activities and practices along the Coley River that might arise from the increased industrialization and urbanization around the river, which was being mentioned in the letter. So activities such as probably construction of the building, development of the roads, infrastructures, yeah, things like that. And then there probably be dumping of chemicals from the activities and also practices. And since he mentioned there's an increase of fishing license, there could be an overfishing, which cause also contribute to the reduction in fish number. Okay, so I'll be showing like a few potential pollutions examples that we can foresee and that might help in our investigation. So pollution itself is the introduction of harmful substances or energy into the environment that could cause adverse effects to the nature, living organisms, and ecosystem. The harmful substance or energy is called pollutants and can come in the form of chemical, physical, and biological and pollute the water, air, land, and also sound. So these are the different types of pollutions, such as domestic. So we could expect if domestic pollution, it will be the disposal of household waste such as food, plastics, and papers into the environment. For the industrial pollution, there should be water, air, soil, thermal, and noise pollution, such as releasing chemical waste into the river, and also agricultural. So, for example, is runoff of pesticide and fertilizers into the river. There are also solid, liquid, gas, organic, and also inorganic pollutions that may be involved in this issue. So we could predict the potential pollutions. So hope that it could help with the investigation so that we can better predict what we want to find. Okay, so I'll also attach a map of Midshire. So the strategies would be these three. So what we have to do is to investigate the land use along the Coley River, which should be the task of Atma and also Mengru, our chemists. And also next is to investigate the 4 monitoring stations along the river and also to investigate the few points that nearby problematic monitoring stations once you have decided which of the 4 monitoring stations that are most problematic. And also this is like a more narrow points that to be determined which are the potential source of the pollution. 2 and 3 should be under Kausalya, our sampling officer. Um, for these strategies that we have, do you want to add on your maybe rough idea or more detailed approach? May I know what should be your approaches for number 1, Atma or Mangru?
Okay, I think we need to first identify the possible pollutants that is involved in the river pollution. So I think we can start with, doing a site visit to the companies around the river, and then we can gather the complaints from the locals around there if they do observe some kind of abnormalities around the area or some kind of release into the river from the companies or something. And then we can proceed with investigating exactly the pollutants that are involved or released in this pollution. So what are your suggestions, Maru?
I agree with you. Analyze the river. There are so many companies. It will produce many potential pollutions such as the heavy metal, particulate metal, and the nutrient runoff and the pesticides. It will contribute to acid rain and affecting aquatic ecosystems. So we need to investigate test the water quantities and sedimental and do sedimental analysis and biodiversity service. It can determine the impact of issues at this points. Do you have some suggestions?
Okay, I think after we identify exactly the pollutants that are involved, then we can proceed with the usual analysis to identify for the pollutions, such as the appearance. The appearance first, we have to like observe observe the appearance of the river water itself, whether it's turbid, whether it's smelly or something, whether there is a suspended solid, so we can perform tests such as COD, BOD, or suspended solid tests. And then we can also perform organic analysis such as GC, HPLC to identify, exactly what are the compounds that contribute to the river pollution. And then we can also perform inorganic analysis such as ICP or IC to identify the heavy metals element that contribute to the river pollution that subsequently will affect the health of the aquatic life. Mm.
Yeah, it sounds about right. These should be the correct method that people use to investigate environmental issue. Next, what about Kausalya?
Yeah, I will continue on the second and third. Based on the strategy, in order to conduct the investigation, since there are already 4 automatic monitoring stations along the Koli River, we can take the results from there in order to pre-analyze what are the contaminants or pollutants that contained in the water that they actually take and resulted. And the results from the average monthly data should be collected in order to analyze the results. Based on the tests that they conduct, we can actually find out more justification to conduct further samplings Koli River water. And in order points that we need to do the sampling at, more sampling near the industries and farms should be okay and should be reasonable for us to take in order to find out contaminants and pollutions and pollutants that we can find from there. Um, these are the points that actually can be highly suspected to be polluted. So that's my suggestion on the points.
Okay, I think that those are also correct methods, correct approach to investigating the monitoring stations along the Koli River, because it has been specified that there are monitoring stations. So yes, it's also easy that you can just gather the reports. And so we can use later when you gather the evidence from the land use and also the sampling along the Koli River and conclude which point should be the most highly likely locations that may majorly contributed to the issue at the Koli River. So I think that would be all. Do you guys have anything else to add before we end this discussion?
I think we can just proceed with our initial plan, Chief. I think it's looking good.
Okay. So I can end the discussion and then we'll meet another time to discuss our findings. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.